The Rubbish Collector. I am a collector, but I haven't done it properly. I have lost one comic. This is the first time that it has happened. I haven't eaten proper food for 3 days. I have, 1, been too anxious, and 2, feel that I do not deserve food, either as a basic requirement or as a luxury. My last meal was a packet of biscuits, not nice ones, but supermarket own brand, which were rotten and bland, but again, all that I deserve, as I have been bad. I hate myself for either losing it or not being able to find it. I prefer to believe that if I am still looking for it, that it isn't actually and definitively lost. Daredevil Volume 4, Issue 1, published by Marvel Comics, marks the beginning of the second volume of Daredevil by Mark Waid, and is in all ways entirely unremarkable. Other than that, and I cannot find the thing. My life is bloody rubbish. If things weren't bad enough, this has to happen. And then I go back to that thought, thinking about when the men came in to do all the work, and I wasn't here, and she didn't keep a very close eye on them. One of them could have stolen it. There would have been plenty of occasions for him to be left alone with my collection. He could have looked through it and seen Daredevil Volume 4, Issue 1 and thought, this is a bit of luck. This is the only issue missing from my collection, so I shall take it. And so thinking, secure it about his person and leave the premises to later put it in pride of place within his own collection. I don't suppose she even checked these men before they left the house every day. If I had been there, I would have supervised them thoroughly and carried out my own end-of-day inspections. I suppose it was my fault for being somewhere else and trying to get on with my life. Unfortunately, she was in charge, and I have no idea as to what went on. And I can hardly ask her now, can I? I have checked through all of the special comic boxes several times and looked thoroughly through the other comics, the ones I do not see fit to be kept in a collectible manner. I have looked in all of the obvious hiding places and the more obscure nooks and crannies where I may have put something for safekeeping away from villains. Unfortunately, it would appear that I have unintentionally secured it away from myself. My collection is a cripple. And yes, I could easily acquire another copy from the internet, but it wouldn't be mine. I don't want the stink of some strange person on one of my comics with all creases everywhere, because doubtless he would advertise it as mint and it might even come in a nice bag. But that would just be hiding the carnage that has been perpetrated on it by this idiot novice who clearly isn't a real or proper comic book fan by dint of the fact that he's selling his collection. Why would I want a copy from somebody who obviously doesn't appreciate comics and so most certainly wouldn't have taken good care of them? Perhaps she took it and burnt it when she was in one of her moods. She might have done it to get her own back after one of our arguments. Except thinking about it, if she had done something like that in revenge, she would have definitely wanted me to know about it. She always made certain of that. I have even been in the falling down shed. I remembered that I used to put things in there that I wanted to keep safe. No joy though. There is nothing in there apart from my old bicycle, some rubbish bags for goodness knows what in them, and some teapots. If I had put it in there to be safe, it would have been destroyed by now anyway. I'm so tired of it all. I am an explorer. Well, that's what I am, digging through my house. That's why I put on my shorts, the ones that I wear in the summer without any pants underneath. I've also put on my special LED head torch, the one I got from the archival company that I use for my boxes. I don't wear it often, and certainly not out of doors because men shout at me, calling me rude names, which are either unfair or completely inaccurate. And I've got my dad's old crowbar that he had for protection in case any of his old enemies came round. Although the only man that used to come round for him was the Pulse coupon man of a Friday, and he was a nice man. I start in my room, pulling back the loose carpet and taking up the floorboards, which is easy as they are rotted. I remembered that when those workmen were in years ago, they had to take up the floorboards so that they could install the radiators. One of them might have been in the process of stealing the comic, but then his boss turned up and, worried that the boss might be doing a spot-check inspection to make sure that they weren't on the fiddle, he, with quick criminal alertness, put it under the floorboards that he already had up and then replaced the floorboards, intending to return at a later date when the boss wasn't snooping. I didn't find the comic. Of course, it could just have meant that the thief workman had found time to return, prized open the floorboard, removed the comic and concealed it about his person, and then took it out of the house when no one was looking. And then I had to take a break from my expedition because I was choking due to all the filth and dust that had been disturbed, all of it going into my lungs. The water in the kitchen still tastes terrible. I need to buy more bottled water and drink that instead. I decided not to bother with the bathroom as the floorboards are totally rotted. If I take all of them up, they might never go properly back into place and I will have to hop to the toilet for fear of falling through to the kitchen below. I don't have to do anything with the downstairs rooms because I didn't need to take those floorboards up. That just leaves her old room and his old room. I think they did most work in his old room, so I take up all the floorboards in there, but find nothing other than lots of old newspaper hankies, along with cigarette butts and mouse droppings, and mice who had died, who must have taken the poison that we put down years ago. Or they died of old age. I can't tell, can I? It doesn't really matter anyway in the scheme of things. And then I go into her room and do the same. Floorboards up, exploring. I am now coughing like a miner and starting to look like one. I'm sick of this and upset. There is no point to any of it. There's no use in me having all of these things if I haven't got all of them completely. There will always be something missing, and even if I do get another copy, it will be an intruder who will stick out and I will hate it, and so will the other comics. They will know that he is not right. I may as well be dead. It is 2 o'clock in the morning. I take all of my Daredevil comics into the overgrown garden. All of them. Volume 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, minus one issue, and Volume 5, and what there is up to date of Volume 6. I piss on them. I do a great big slash because I haven't been there for a while. And then I pour petrol on them. I don't know why I have got petrol. Perhaps I knew that this day would come. And then I light a match and throw it onto the pile and follow the singular match with the full box just for good measure. Now look what you've made me do! I shout into space, wondering if she can hear me as the comics catch fire and burn to death. It must be half an hour before the fire engines and the neighbours asking me if I'm all right, apart from this one man who calls me a prick. He doesn't understand, but he would if, like me, he was a collector.